Hey guys, we're here for another episode of Mad Hot Monday with Rich and Leslie Carter of the USVI Lacrosse Association. First question, guys, could you just give us some background about the association?
Be happy to. Last October, a few of us came together. We had experience with the Ireland Lacrosse Association, and we were thinking about the Virgin Islands. We had seen teams emerge in Puerto Rico, in Haiti. There are now teams in Barbados. Dominican Republic just came on board. And we thought there's no reason why there couldn't be a lacrosse program in the Virgin Islands. And we began to, at that point, form a board and begin to get support from people like Governor Bryan and the head of the VIOC, Mr. Morales.
So tell me, what is the main goals of the association?
The main goals of the association are to create new opportunities for Virgin Islands athletes. And we are going to have clubs set up on each island. So there will be local opportunities for players to join the club, learn about the sport. We also have a program to bring lacrosse into the schools in the physical education program. We're going to donate sticks and host clinics for teachers to learn about lacrosse and how to teach the fundamentals. And then there will be some other regional and international opportunities once players get experience to travel and play representing the territory.
A little more personal, could you guys just give us a little background about yourself and your connection to the territory?
Yeah, well, first of all, so I am from St. Croix, born and raised. My mother's family's been there for generations, so I'm a Crujan. And I met Rich on St. Croix when he moved there to teach at the St. Mary's School for a little bit of time. So that's his initial connection with the island. He's together we have lived on St. Croix for a number of years at different points in time. And honestly, and I think I can speak for Rich, St. Croix and the U.S. Virgin Islands has really become his home,
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in Connecticut, but upon graduating from college, I moved directly to St. Croix that summer and spent a number of years as a teacher, an administrator, and swim coach at St. Mary's School, St. Patrick's School, the Good Hope School, and St. Croix Country Day. On the lacrosse side of things, I grew up playing lacrosse in Connecticut and then played Division I lacrosse at Villanova University before moving directly down to St. Croix.
I want to ask you a little bit more about lacrosse itself. In the territory, I wouldn't say lacrosse is like one of the major sports that the kids are playing. Tell me why should a kid want to get involved in lacrosse? Great
question. The number one thing, and let me first say that in the U.S., lacrosse is the number one growing sport at every level: youth, high school, collegiate, and post-collegiate. Now, why is that? I think number one, because it's a lot of fun to be a part of a lacrosse program. The game brings a high level of creativity and, almost similar to basketball and soccer. You can bring a lot of different skill sets. We've got small, fast players. We've got big, strong players, players with endurance that play in the midfield. And so I think it fits a lot of different types of athletes. They have a lot of fun participating in it. There's a high level of creativity involved that I think attracts young athletes to want to try it. And then once they try it, they get hooked very quickly.
Right now, it's still the very early stages of the association, but what are some things that like some of the positives that give you hope that you're going to be able to accomplish these goals in the territory?
Well, one thing was we were at home over the Christmas season, and we had the chance to speak with Governor Bryan, and just let him know that this was an idea that we had, and he said that was actually it was a great coincidence, because his commissioner of I think it's Sports and Parks Recreation, Calvert White, Commissioner White had been talking to him about lacrosse in the territory, because not only is it a great sport to be involved in, it also would create great opportunity for sports tourism, right? To be able to hold tournaments and whatnot, in the territory. And now, that we've also supplied this additional information of, the different Caribbean nations that have lacrosse teams at this point. I mean, the opportunity is very real. So that's one thing, having local support. And then secondly, do you want to add anything about just world lacrosse or?
Yeah, again, the game is growing at the international level as well. There are currently 67 national governing bodies. Not all of those are separate countries, but 67 national governing bodies, example being Puerto Rico. So there's a movement to include lacrosse in the Olympics, and we've made some positive steps there. And again, I think opportunities like that are making a lot of countries excited about lacrosse and having new countries start programs. And yeah, so it's growing rapidly.
Yeah. In your opinion, what would you compare lacrosse to? Which sport would you most compare it to? And what type of skills? I mean, I like I said, we don't really play lacrosse down here. For some of these kids, it'll be like starting from scratch. What are some of the skills that can translate into lacrosse?
So I was a physical education teacher on St. Croix for many of my years there. And it really has a similar flow to soccer and basketball. You're playing offense and defense. There are two goals on opposite ends of the field. So the players actually gravitated to the flow of the game very easily because they were used to games like soccer and basketball. Many of the kids had played floor hockey, so they were used to having a stick in their hands. And that's the biggest challenge with lacrosse is learning the fundamental stick skills. And I think, we've got some great athletes who have, speed and size and agility, and it just takes a little while to master the stick work. And one of the things that we are implementing is an online training portal. So anyone that's a part of our organization, one of our clubs, even some of the players that live stateside who have Virgin Islands roots, they're going to have access to this online trading portal. It's going to have, or it has, we're about to launch it, has videos on everything from basic stick work to learning how to dodge and shoot and attack the goal, from learning about team offense, and then obviously everything on the defensive side of the ball. It's got position-specific training videos. So instead of the kid having to wait till the next practice, especially with COVID right now, we can't host clinics, we can't host practices. That kid can go on the training portal and learn a ton and get these drills. And I'm sure Kyle would share some of his experience, but you can go out with your stick and a couple of balls and start doing wall ball, catching and throwing on a wall, and really advance your skill set very quickly. So it is our goal, understanding there is going to be a little bit of a learning barrier here for kids starting from scratch, but we want to give them all the tools possible. So if a kid's motivated and excited, he can be doing just as much on his own to get better, and he's not reliant upon a clinic or a team practice.
Yeah, just on that point, like you said, all you need is a stick, a ball, and a wall, and you can get to work. And it's by yourself. You don't even need a teammate. So like socially distance, you can start getting practice in this era for sure. My next question though would be, last one I kind of focused on the positives, but what are some challenges that you had to overcome to get the association to where it is today?
There's definitely been a few. World Lacrosse has a application and admission process, and just creating all the different pieces of that took some work from a number of our board members to put that together. And I just want to say that we're in that application process. We have not been accepted as of today. And that should take place in the next couple of months. And I think also connecting with people in the territory who have experience. And I'll be honest, I really thought that was going to be a huge challenge on St. Thomas and St. John. Leslie and I have quite a few connections in St. Croix, so that kind of happened more organically. But once we started talking about the association on social media, I was blown away at the number of people that contacted us. Again, Kyle, you're a great example because you have experience with the game. You spent time in the States, learning the game, played the game, and reached out, and we're so excited to be involved with this thing. And we've had many different people with similar experience. They either played at some point growing up, they coached at some point growing up. Great example, the head of Antilles School was a Division I lacrosse player at University of Maryland. She won a national championship. She coached for 20 years at the high school level. Liz Morrison's her name. Liz has been phenomenal. She's got a great network of people on St. Thomas and has friends who have played. So I think what looked to be our biggest challenge actually happened very smoothly as far as finding people who are going to direct our clubs and coach and provide programming. So yeah, would you add anything, Leslie?
Well, something that I think is interesting, and it goes back to a previous question, because, why would Virgin Islands kids want to play lacrosse? Because it's not something that we do there. No, we don't. However, I know we were both really surprised by the number of Virgin Islanders who have, gone off to college, or they maybe went to high school in the States and ended up playing the game, and they love it. And so these are Virgin Islanders who are excited to have this game now, this possibility for the game to grow, in the Virgin Islands. So, we were both really, really surprised, and pleasantly so. So, I don't know. We just feel very confident that this can really take off there.
All right. If I'm correct, the program you want to bring down here is based off of Harlem Lacrosse. Can you tell me a little bit about the Harlem Lacrosse program, and how do you plan on implementing that into the schools down here?
Yeah, another great question. Harlem Lacrosse is a very unique model, and it uses the sport of lacrosse as a vehicle. So the kids who participate in it, there's requirements. They have to have their academics at a certain level. There's reporting that goes on between the coaching staff and the teachers in the school. So the staff is always aware of the kids' academic progress. Citizenship is a big component of Harlem Lacrosse. Kids, it's expected that they are being good citizens in their communities, in their schools. So those are kind of the three pillars. And once the kids, have handled their academic work and they're showing that they're good citizens, they can participate in the lacrosse, and they receive mentorship, tutoring, obviously coaching on the lacrosse side. And it has just taken off, and it has now grown from the original program in Harlem to now it's located in, I think, 7 different cities, 6 or 7 different cities, LA, New York, Boston, DC, Philadelphia. And so we looked at that, and interestingly enough, one of our board members whose family is from St. Croix is a senior director with Harlem Lacrosse. Mike is going to be in charge of how we develop our scholastic program, if you will. And that's going to be a little bit down the road after we get the club started and we get the sport introduced in the PE program. But yeah, the idea would be that schools would have teams that would play interscholastically with other schools. But I think it's really important that we still have the connection with academic performance and citizenship. And I think that would also make it unique among other Virgin Islands interscholastic sports. So that's our goal. That's the program we want to put together. And we're not looking to do all this overnight. We want to develop relationships with the leaders at the schools, from the heads of the schools to the coaching staffs. But that would be the goal.
Just sticking on Harlem Lacrosse for one more question, at least. I spoke with Mike for the story that I did in the source. And one of the things he mentioned was that academic side. Like, even though they didn't have a season this year because of COVID, the team still had one of the highest team GPAs in 5 years. So, like, you said you want to use lacrosse as a vehicle. How does, like, having a lacrosse program like that motivate students to do better in school, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start to introduce opportunities, like the ability to play on a school team would be one. And now maybe a kid knows that the best kids from those school teams have an opportunity to be selected onto a Virgin Islands national team that might travel and play against other island programs or even international country programs. And then I think the ultimate carrot, if you will, would be if everything goes as planned and lacrosse is introduced into the Olympics, which could happen as soon as 2028 in Los Angeles. I just think there's some awesome goals for those kids. And again, the motivation, the athletics provide motivation to do what they need to do in the classroom and at home and in their communities. So they can have those opportunities to be a part of those teams.
Well,
yeah.
And I was going to say, and on a more basic level than that, if you think about this, so lacrosse is the fastest growing sport on many levels, right? Including colleges. So the scholarships that are available for lacrosse, I mean, they're out there, right? College scholarships. And, you've got most people wanting to go for football, basketball, right? And not everyone's going for these lacrosse scholarships. And so that's a great resource to tap into, great opportunity there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it opens up doors of opportunity with colleges that might not otherwise be there, coming from the Virgin Islands and now being an experienced lacrosse player on top of it. So it's a great point.
I know we're in a pandemic, and I guess the phrase of the year is social distancing. So tell me about how lacrosse plays into that dynamic. I know you have a stick and you're passing the ball round and round. How does lacrosse play into playing in a pandemic future, I guess?
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky because right now with our clubs, it's really about teaching the fundamental skills. How to hold the stick, how to scoop the ball, how to cradle the ball, how to throw, how to catch, how to shoot. So we had a clinic on St. Croix a couple weekends back, and everyone had their masks on and everyone was socially distant throughout the clinic, and every kid was able to work on all those skills I just mentioned. So, you know, if we were at a point where we were looking to do competitions and play live lacrosse against, you know, two teams against each other, that would be a real challenge, because it's a game, it is a contact sport. But fingers crossed, I think we're all hoping the same thing, that this pandemic will subside sooner than later and we can kind of get back to normal life. But for now, where we're at, we're going to keep doing these clinics. We're going to keep kids socially distanced and masks on. And we'll add competition at the appropriate time once it's safe with health conditions.
On the clinic note, so I guess it would be like, once the stay-at-home order is lifted and things become a little safer, what are your plans to like organize these clinics?
Yeah, well, we've identified directors and coaches on each island. So the St. Croix Clinic, we had 6 coaches and about 10 players. It was at the Leatherback Field. So, and it was about 3 hours, and we provided the sticks, the balls, cones, small 4x4 goals. We've already sent a similar package to St. John, so they've got all on the equipment side and staff side, they're ready to go. We have fields on each island. We have access to the field at Gift Hill on St. John. We have access to the field at Antilles on St. Thomas and Leatherback Field on St. Croix. So again, we're literally just waiting for health conditions to be safe to begin scheduling clinics, and we would promote them on social media and through our contacts on each island.
And as necessary, you know, as health conditions allow, the size would be determined by that, you know, and the plan is definitely keep it small for now. You know.
Yeah, small, manageable groups for sure.
Yeah.
The Virgin Islands has hosted colleges for preseason tournaments, I believe, in the past. How would your organization help facilitate, I guess, bringing sports tourism with lacrosse to the territory?
Yeah, so there are a couple examples of college teams that have come down and done their preseason training on St. Croix and played their preseason scrimmages. Lacrosse is a pretty small network as far as relationships and knowing coaches, and but we would look to reach out to college programs, you know, find groups of schools of similar abilities that would want to come down and do their preseason in on any one of the 3 islands, really. In the program, I was a part of the St. Croix Dolphins swim team for many years as a coach and served on the board. And they've had college swim teams that have been coming down there since the 70s. My brother actually came to St. Croix in 1979 with St. Lawrence University. So we would really look to kind of mirror that kind of program. Rotate the programs. College teams can travel out of the U.S. every 4 years. So, you know, and I also think you talked to Commissioner White as well, right? Who was excited about this?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. When he heard the list of other, you know, islands, Caribbean nations, right, that have programs, he was very excited. And these are places that have actually national teams established at this point, because they start out like this. First, you start out with growing the game on the, you know, respective island, grassroots level, and then you form your national team. And you know, we have connections to those organizations. There's PALA and World Lacrosse Federation, and you know, the connections are there. People are excited. They're really, you know, everyone's rooting for us to become a member of these organizations, become the next member, and at that point, you know, we have access to all of that. We're a part of it, and therefore, you know, I'm not going to say free and clear to host. I mean, because it takes work. It doesn't just happen. But that's all there, and it's all possible.
But just to follow up real quick, how does our weather in the territory fit into all that? I mean, most of the time it's sunny, and so how does that help with lacrosse? I mean, does lacrosse play in all type of weather, and what type of field do you need to play lacrosse?
Yeah, the weather, nicer the better for lacrosse. It's traditionally a spring sport, and then there's also many activities throughout the summer. So the Virgin Islands has the perfect weather throughout the year. The field, a soccer field, lacrosse field is 110 yards long, 60 yards wide. So any soccer facility is naturally set up perfectly for a lacrosse field. All three of the facilities we have now, we could have a legal lacrosse field set up. We just need to get the official goals shipped down to the island.
Now, lacrosse is an historic game with Native American roots. Can you just break down a little bit about the historical significance of the game, and then how did it grow from that point to where it is today?
Well, I mean, and you jump in because you're the lacrosse player here. But my understanding is that it's traditionally a Native American sport. And it was called Bagataway, actually. The actual name is Bagataway, which means the creator's game. And it was used to settle disputes. And rather than go to war over something, you'd play lacrosse to decide outcomes. Were there more reasons than that?
Well, yeah, the Native Americans consider it a medicine game, a healing game. And they play it in honor of the creator. And the Native Americans have a sovereign country, land in upstate New York, and they do have a national team program. And some of those players have gone on to be some of the best players ever in the history of our sport. But it was played on North America before any of the European settlers first arrived. When they did begin to interact with Native American people, they saw them playing a game, and they learned about the game. And it was a Frenchman who gave it its name, Lacrosse, and he thought the stick looked like a Catholic bishop's crozier staff, which has a curl on the top. And so that's where the English name came from, lacrosse. But from that point on, it grew quickly in areas like upstate New York. It grew quickly in the Maryland area, on Long Island. Those are three of the traditional hotbeds within the U.S. And as I said, now it's played in every state in the U.S. and is growing very rapidly.
And then one more Native connection I'd like to make is, in the Caribbean, including our U.S. Virgin Islands, right? The Taino who lived there played a sport they called it bate, and it was kind of a cross between basketball and soccer. There were these, sort of hoops that you would put the ball in, but there was also a stone belt that they would wear, and there was, bouncing the ball with their hips and whatnot. And the purpose was the same. It was the creator's game, and it was used to settle disputes. So does that, lacrosse, not native to us, but we do have that same native connection. The purpose of the game is the same, which I love. I'm a history buff.
So tell me a little bit about the game today. Who are the best lacrosse players in the world? Tell me about the leagues that they have out there. I believe I saw one time they had a U.S. lacrosse league. Tell me about the different leagues that people could get in, would eventually want to get into. Tell me about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I definitely want to start by mentioning a fact that not many people know, but one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time was Jim Brown, who's also arguably one of the greatest football players of all time. And Jim Brown grew up in an area of Long Island called Manhasset, which is one of the best programs historically, and played lacrosse for 4 years at Syracuse along with football. So as far as professional leagues, currently there's 3 professional leagues. And I guess I should mention lacrosse currently is played in 3 forms. There's the men's field game. There's the women's field game, which is different from the men's, different rules, different equipment. And then we also play a style called indoor lacrosse. You play in a hockey rink. There's not ice, there's turf of some kind down, and it's smaller numbers. So we do have 3 different versions of the game. And as far as professional leagues, there are actually 2 professional leagues for outdoor men's. One's called Major League Lacrosse, just celebrated its 20th anniversary. One is called the Premier Lacrosse League. And both those leagues found a way to have a shortened season this summer, a tournament style season this summer. And then the National Lacrosse League is the professional indoor league. I think they're around 12 teams. And it's actually got quite a following in many cities like Denver, Philadelphia. So it's very actually popular. And that's been around since the mid 80s. The NLL goes way back. And then the women do have a professional league as well, Women's Professional Lacrosse League. So yeah, I mean, there are opportunities to continue to advance, to play at a professional level. You know, there are lacrosse players now who make a living just on lacrosse, which wasn't always possible in the past. And as far as great players, I would mention the Thompson brothers, Native American players from the Onondaga Reservation, and they've gone on to become some of the greatest players to ever pick up a stick, as far as the all-time leading points scorer at NCAA level, Division I, and now moving up the ranks in the pro leagues as well.
Being a former college player yourself, what do you think are some of the attributes that a college lacrosse player has to have to get into school to play lacrosse in college?
Yeah, you know, I talk to college coaches all the time. I've been coaching high school for 20 years and helping kids get recruited. You know, the first thing the college coach wants to know is, you know, is he a good kid? You know, is he a good citizen? Is he a good teammate? So really character is the first thing we always talk about. And no college coach wants a kid that's not going to be a good citizen when they come on campus and represent their program. And then it's academics. You know, is he a good student? Is he academically motivated and driven? A player is no good to a college coach if he can't pass his courses and be eligible to play. You know, and then we talk about work ethic, attitude. You know, is this the kind of kid what does he do off the field? Is he in the weight room? Does he train on his own? Is he multi-sport? College coaches love multi-sport athletes. I put up a post on our Facebook page about the value of multi-sport athletes. And I think that is going to be huge in the Virgin Islands. We don't want lacrosse to replace other sports that kids excel at. We want it to be something they do in addition to the other sports that they love and excel at. And also provide a program that's going to make them a better athlete. So by being a part of lacrosse, they're going to be a better soccer player. They're going to be a better basketball player, swimmer, tennis, whatever. But yeah, those are the things that college coaches want to know. They watch a lot of film. So as far as a player on the field, they're going to see everything they need to see on their own. But it's really about the character, the academics, and their attitude and work ethic.
Yeah, I'm not gonna act like I watch lacrosse all the time. I mean, I've seen like ESPN play, like show the college tournaments and stuff like that. And I mean, I love it when I see them do the like trick moves, take the stick, put it between the legs, or put it around their shoulder and make a shot. I mean, those things are great. But I guess the question is, how hard is the ball? Because I played baseball. Do you want to get hit with that ball? How hard is that ball?
Helmets.
Yeah. It is solid rubber. And it moves. A good college player shoots the ball around 100 miles per hour. You do not want to be a goalie in lacrosse. You get a lot of bruises. It's a very physical sport. I think, again, that's why a lot of athletes gravitate towards it. There's contact, but there's also rules that protect the players and maintain the integrity of the game. But within that, there's quite a bit of contact. There's checking. 3 or 4 guys on the field have a 6-foot titanium metal pole, and they're trying to get that ball from you any way they can.
Is there? I played baseball growing up. Is there like, baseball has their little hidden rules or off the books rules that people just? Is there those kind of rules in lacrosse?
No, I think everything's pretty transparent. I can't think of anything that I know baseball, right? If a pitcher hits a batter, the next team's pitcher is probably going to hit that next batter. It's not really things like that.
Bruise my goalie with the ball. Will I bruise your goalie back?
Right. And really, you don't want to bruise the goalie because you want that ball going past him, right? You want him going to the goal so you can celebrate. Games can get chippy because it is physical and there's a lot of contact. But that's why you also want to have really good referees. And we're going to start training referees as soon as possible. They are a huge part of growing the game and teaching the game the right way. The guys that enforce the rules.
My personal favorite part about lacrosse is just like the pace of the game. Like it's just it's a very transition-based sport. I feel like, I know there's the half-field offense and stuff, but a lot of the stuff happens in transition. How do you think like that makes it attractive to watch to most people?
Yeah, it's when played at a high level and the ball really doesn't touch the ground much. It really is a beautiful sport. And the women's game especially, if you watch Division I NCAA women's lacrosse, it is fast-paced, flying up and down. Again, balls doesn't touch the ground. We draw about, I think we've gotten as big as 35,000 fans for the Division I National Championship game. And that's growing, and we're in stadiums. 2 years ago, we were at Gillette Stadium. Last year, it was at Ravens Stadium. It is. It's a beautiful game to watch. I think a lot of spectators appreciate it.
Well, I was going to say, Virgin Islander had never heard of lacrosse, went away to college, right? Went to Middlebury, and saw my first lacrosse game, and I was like, what? This is, I mean, it was so exciting. And I'm not into sports. I'm a theater and dance person, really, you know, but I love to watch the lacrosse games. I would go to all of them. I love it. And so, and then, you know, to get to see it played on a really high level, like when we went to Israel for the World Championships, was it 2 summers ago at this point? Wow. Just, you know, really exciting.
James kind of mentioned the weather earlier, but what are some other reasons why the U.S. Virgin Islands is the perfect place to grow the game of lacrosse?
I think, you know, the times I introduced it in PE at St. Mary's and Good Hope and Country Day, we had these very basic sets of sticks, and we used tennis balls and played on small goals. And the kids had a blast. And again, didn't know how to catch the ball very well or cradle it very well because we just did like a 4-week lesson plan on it. But when you put them out on the field in 2 teams and let them just go up and down, I mean, they loved it. They had a blast. And, you know, we have a lot of tremendous athletes in the Virgin Islands. And I think for all the reasons I mentioned, they're going to gravitate towards lacrosse. They're going to have fun being a part of it. They're going to love the creativity of the game. They're going to love the opportunities it's going to open up. And I think that's the number one reason that we want to bring it there. It's just it's an awesome game to be a part of. And that's why we're so passionate about bringing it to the Virgin Islands, a place where we love very much.
And the stick work will come. You know, that's the thing that is not there yet, but that'll happen. It just takes practice. That's it. And, you know, I mean, I can't tell you the numbers of kids I see running around like they've got that stick and the ball and they're just constantly practice. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it will catch on.
Yeah. And our goal is to, you know, every kid that has a passion for this game, we want to be able to hand them a stick and a couple of balls. So that they go home with it and use the online portal and use the drills and wall ball that you described, Kyle, and they're going to get really good really fast. The more you have a stick in your hands, the faster you excel.
And I also just want to, because I don't think we've mentioned, you know, the girls too much, right? But just, I want people to know that this is totally equal opportunity. Like, we're developing boys and girls. Excuse me. And I mean, the girls' game is, as Rich said, just as beautiful to watch, even faster in some ways. You know, the stick that they work with, you know, it is different than the guys, and actually takes more skill, I think. I don't know.
It does.
I think it does. So, excuse me. But I just want to put that out there for the girls as well.
Yeah, we were pretty lucky. For the St. Croix clinic, we actually had 3 current Division I players as the lead coaches. A girl and a boy from Johns Hopkins. Again, Johns Hopkins has more national championships than any other program in history. And a young man from UAlbany. You know, again, just awesome to see them out there working with young Virgin Islands players and again, sharing that passion that they have for the game. So,
is there anything else you guys would like to add before we wrap up today?
You guys have been very thorough, and I really, first and foremost, appreciate the time and the effort that went into this. I think I would just like to extend an invitation to anyone watching this who might be intrigued by what we're talking about. We have the St. Croix Lacrosse Club, the St. Thomas Lacrosse Club, and the St. John Lacrosse Club. You can contact us via email, that's our website. Our email is admin, ADMIN, @USVILA.org. And we'll get you connected with our coaches and directors, and we'll get you a stick, and you'll be off and running with this great game.
Thank you guys so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And I just want to remind the viewers to stick and stay with Mad Hot Media for the latest and greatest in Virgin Islands sports.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.